And our next signing for Idaho is a defensive lineman by the name of Titus Ringor, or as David Lose said in the highlight video, his nickname was Tito, which I very much love. If you have a nickname like that coming in, you are bound to hopefully be a great player. For him, he is 6'3", 285. Yeah, 6'3", 285 out of, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, out in Hawaii, out of James Campbell High School. Watching his tape, I was very excited and almost surprised to kind of see that Idaho was getting players from Hawaii, but he looks like a dude that can, to me, is someone that can play right away for Idaho. Patrick, what are your thoughts on Titus Ringor?
Yeah, I definitely think he has a shot to contribute early. The dude, he just moves really well for being 6'4", 280 pounds. The dude moves so well. Sometimes, he was lined up as edge rusher for them.
Moves so well.
Like the dude, I'm just seriously impressed with the way that he can move at the size he is. He was able to edge rush super easy. Like he just right around the offensive tackles, which is something you don't see every day from a dude that big. He has excellent hands in the pass rush game. He has a really nice chop move and a really good just rip move. He's great at, he can really get linemen's hands off of him. He's one of those dudes that it's just really hard to get hands on him and keep them on him. With his 6'4" size, he has a knack to swat the ball down at the line of scrimmage. And I mean, a couple times even, I think he might have had a pick in high school where he swatted the ball straight up and went up and got it. He also looks really strong on tape compared to, your average high school recruit. He really can push a lineman back. And it's just so disruptive when you have a guy that can push, a guard back into the play and disrupt like a polar or something like that. And it just, messes with everything that the offense is trying to do, especially in the run game. And he can shed the dude. Shedding guys is a skill you really need to have at the D line if you want to be an elite run defender. Like Titus is going to be a guy if he plays interior.
I mean to cut you off, Patrick, but on the highlight that just happened, if I can bring it up here, the dude sheds a blocker and then automatically just tracks down their quarterback and just levels the dude. Like he has speed to catch up to people.
Yeah, and it's not something you see every day from an interior lineman. I'm assuming he'll be playing interior line, and he's just the power and the strength is something that you don't see every day.
Oh yeah, and kind of answering Brian's question, I don't want to give in my tray again. Like I've said in other videos, I don't want to put 100% pressure on this guy, but I could see Titus being one of those players that plays right away, kind of this year's version of a Dallas Afalava kind of thing. Kind of gives Jakari more rest, kind of give him some time.
I think he'll be the pass rush package
equivalent
tackle. I think he's gonna be one of those guys that comes in on those third and longs, and he's gonna be an interior pass rusher.
Yeah, I do 100% agree with you on that. I'd say, I think he says that a lot today, but he definitely does seem like kind of one of those guys that play in pass rush. I think once Lose or whoever whoever might be the defensive line coach of Lose moves on, he develops the guy and he plays more. He's a more well-rounded guy.
Yeah. I totally think he could compete for playing time early. I'm trying to even think. I know Jakari was a rotated guy in there, but other than that, there's not a ton of depth at the D tackle position, and there's two of them on the field at all times in Idaho's offense usually, or defense usually.
Yeah, I definitely think you're definitely a rotational guy, but I think he could become one of those every down type of guys as he develops and gains more strength and conditioning to the D1 level.
Yep, I think he could develop into that. It being that size, it's tough to play every down just out of sheer conditioning wise being that big. But I mean, I would be surprised if we didn't see him at all in 2024. I would expect to see him rotate in, especially on third down pass rush situations. I could totally see him and Afalava being the two on the interior as the trying to get a pass rush going. I think they're both more agile than some of the other D tackles, and they're able to go kind of contain the quarterback a little better. But yeah, overall he looks real solid and a guy that I wouldn't be surprised if contributed early.
Yeah, I'm trying not to repeat myself here, but he just is yeah, you're right, Patrick. I'm projecting too much of the future, but the dude, I'm just excited to get someone like Titus on Idaho's team, and I know Bryan hasn't asked it yet, but I don't see you don't have any sort of comparisons that players you've seen before in the past with him when he comes to him, maybe at all?
He kind of reminds me of an Eastern D tackle called Keith Moore, but nobody's gonna know who that is. So I mean,
maybe Kyler if he's watching our stuff, just because he's that kind of cool guy.
Mm-hmm. More of an athletic guy from the interior that can still stuff the run. He's not gonna be he's not going to be a bowling ball like Jakari is, I don't think, but he's a big dude that is long, and he's going to be able to shed blockers really well. I'm trying to think of an example, but just no good ones coming to mind right now. But I don't know. A lot of the time, sometimes the interior guys at the FCS level end up being almost a little bit shorter and wider, kind of, more of that 6'2", and then they're 300 pounds. And he's one of the taller, longer interior guys that, I mean, I bet you he'll play more of a 3 technique role. I don't know.
If it ever goes to a 3, if I could see him playing that outside guy in a 3 down lineman set, if that ever comes, if it ever goes that way.
Barring whatever happens with the DC search, yeah.
Any final thoughts you have on Titus before we move on to our next signing?
Yeah, no, he's one of my recruits that I'm most excited to see as a guy that used to play D-line. So,
and Bryan, I'll be honest, you haven't asked it yet, but I will answer it anyway, as always, since we are brought to you by Snake River Stampede Whiskey. I would say this is more of the 1915 small batch. You need to drink the 1915 small batch where you're celebrating getting the caliber of recruit that Titus is, I think. And if you ever are going to be celebrating, you obviously want to be doing it while you're moving. And obviously, there's no pristine beach. There are pristine beaches in Hawaii. I almost messed out there, but yeah, excited for Titus, and ready to move on to our next recruit and move on to our next signing.